Hi there, I'm Ken from Ken's Hobby Bench,
And I'm Jordan with the Line in the Stars.
and welcome to the HTM buddy build of the U.S.S. Reliant. So, Jordan, new week here, and we got some new progress to report. So, what did you get done last week?
Oh, I don't have it on screen because everything's currently the other end of the room and the paint booth area. So I got finally got my nacelles for the most part taken care of. So I got the interior light blocked. At least got the primer on the inside. Got all my putty work done, and then got all of my holes drilled for all of the lighting. Basically got everything ready to go, minus the modification for the fin. That needs to be eventually replaced. And so, yeah, that's what I got done after a little bit of technical difficulties the week before, as this thing goes. But yeah, got that done. How about yourself?
Well, I managed to get my photon torpedo lights put in and wired up, as well as my, uh, I guess, the flashing light on top of the photon torpedo pod. And
Awesome.
yeah, that's I did find out though afterwards from Donnie that apparently with an Arduino we need to have this sends the signal up the negative, which I put all together. So I'm gonna have to in this episode. I probably won't show much of it, but I'll resolder these as four individual lines again, and then router out this trench a little wider, and yeah. But that's getting into what I'm going to be doing this week.
Nice.
But
Well, I guess that's a good segue then, I guess so to say. So, what's the plan for this week?
yes, so yes, I'm going to retrench this a little bit wider to fit a couple extra wires down, and put on the four wires and get that set up. If I have time this week, I'm also going to try and do down into the super phaser area and the pylons that'll lead down into the nacelles. So I'm hoping to get that done. And if I have time, I might drill a small hole into this bridge piece to come up to this flashing light on top. So that's what I'm hoping to get accomplished. But this is a secondary goal that if I don't get it done, that's fine. My main goal is to get this done. And
Awesome.
yourself?
Man, pretty much all the same thing, although just getting started. I've kind of dry fit everything together, just seeing how everything fits. But basically, I need to do all the things that you just did. I need to get my photon torpedo launchers installed. I need to trench out my wires or my wire channels and get all of my different light elements built, put together, burned in. And I'm going to get these parts cut out and then wait for the clear pieces. I'm sorry that you have to remove yours.
Uh,
But yeah, I'm basically just going to go through and get everything modified up to the point basically where you're at right now. It does seem a little ambitious, but it's really not that much work. It's really just making sure that you're massaging the fitment of the wire trench to make sure that you're getting this so it tightens up. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look in between there is not a lot of room in between there to get wires down even at 30 gauge. And so really it just kind of seems like it's going to be a lot of massaging these parts. And if you notice, the fitment is not great here. Like we have to do a lot of pressing, a lot of holding, and like a lot of the stuff, like it just some of the seams don't look so great. So it's going to be just a lot of that, a lot of work on getting this done and getting the last of our lake monster details. Or no, excuse me, the green strawberry parts installed this week, except for the super phasers. So yeah,
yes.
that's what I got going this week.
Right on. On a news side, we've contacted Cass, and we did mention because Will had asked me as well. We'd said to each other that we need to let Cass know that these vents on the bottom, they do need to be clear. So
Yeah.
Cass got back to us today and let us know that that he didn't realize that, and he's gonna reprint them and send us. He's got the files for the rest of the parts that Will's done, so he'll send those to us as well. And you know, Jordan, Cass is such a great guy with us that I think we should talk to him and see if he's willing to be an official sponsor for this build.
I, you know, that's a great idea, actually. Yeah, I mean, we've done a little bit of purchasing of stuff otherwise, like the green strawberry stuff and the ParaGrafix set, but all of these mods, all of these things have come from the brain of Will and then through Cass, and I would simply love to throw him up as a sponsor for the build. So we should definitely ask him. We should respond to that email after we're done here. I love it.
Yes,
Love it.
for
Love
sure.
it. I think it's a great idea.
Also, we didn't mention this before, but if you watch Will's video, his intercooler here, he actually did a replacement one as well. So ours was from Green Strawberry, but he's got a set too. So that way, if you go to Lake Monster Detail down the road, you can get everything all at once instead of having to shop at multiple different vendors for different items.
Yeah, it's almost going to be like a one-stop shop for everything you're going to need to modify the Reliant if you want to have a screen accurate Reliant. Like
Yes.
Will's doing an amazing job. Will is like single-handedly going through and correcting every mistake on this model and not holding anything back. And even Cass is like, I didn't realize how bad this model was
Yes.
until Will started building it. So, yeah, no, it's going to be a one-stop shop for everything that you're going to need for this. I think it's pretty awesome.
And also of note, for people doing the Enterprise, Cass asked him to redo this part for the intercooler part for the Enterprise kit as well. So
Nice,
I'm
the 350.
hoping we'll get some Enterprise love and coming soon.
Nice.
So we could have both ships in the same scale.
Wow, that would be really cool. A 537 refit. I got the Tomy 350 refit coming, but a 537 to sit side by side with this one.
And I did when I purchased the masking painting kit for this from Mass Designs. I actually went and bought the 537 scale Aztec masking as well for the Enterprise. So,
oh, nice.
Maybe I'll get to do that soon. Maybe might be a year or two. I don't know. But something to look forward to.
Yeah, well, a lot of these parts are going to be interchangeable too, like the rim windows and a couple other parts are going to be interchangeable with the Enterprise as well. So very cool. Oh, sweet, man. That's hey, once again, I'm just amazed at the ability of Will to create these parts, like kind of in awe.
Yes, for sure. Also, I have to say, Jordan, in your last video, I was really impressed with that crystal you put. I can't remember what it's called. Jody at the Trek Mods, he sent us a photo of the warp nacelle.
It was a plasma conduit. It was a plasma. It was something to do with the plasma control. The plasma flow control crystal is what it's called. There you go. Thank you.
That looked really nice.
Yeah. So I was trying to the thought process was like, do I put a 3mm in there and then kind of build up around the outside of it? But then looking in the close image of the the close-up images of our intro, for instance, that Todd made for us, and just kind of looking at it, I'm like, a 5mm is gonna be perfect, and it just needs to kind of sit a little recess. And so thank you. That was really kind of like I don't know. I had to think about what could we possibly do here? Do I just build it up with solar res and then try to shape it? So with that, the LED is actually sitting right here. I'm going to grab it. And so it is just a 5mm LED. But what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to sit with a piece of sanding paper and I'm going to sand around the outside to diffuse it, one, and then two, to shape it so that it kind of gives that. It looks like either, I don't know what sort of shape it is. I don't know if it was done as a hex or an octagonal or something like that. I think it was octagonal, so it should be 8-sided or something. So I might try to repeat that or get something similar, at least within scale. So thank you. I appreciate that. That was one of those moments where I'm like, okay, well, what are we going to do here? Because I didn't realize that was there. Like the amount of lights and details on the nacelles have honestly kind of blown me away. Like
For
I've always trashed on like well, not always trash. Like I always love the refit's one of my favorite designs in Star Trek, but I didn't like how the nacelles weren't lit up properly. It doesn't have a proper Broussard collector on it, blah 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 blah
Mhm.
blah. And but when you look at these, they're like lit up and there's like little spotlights and there's like little RCS thruster lights. And it's just like, are you kidding me? And the model itself, like the model itself is just full of like little blinky lights everywhere. And hey, it's really cool. We're gonna be pumping a lot of power. I wonder how many amps this thing's gonna pull.
Oh, I don't know, because yeah, we got lights to put back here up above there. I think there's
Yep.
two below.
Yep, and then one on either side of the either one of those tractor beam emitters has a light in them.
Yeah.
And then we have our impulse engines that are going to have a light, and then each one of the corner RCS thrusters is going to have a light.
Yep. And the tractor beam emitters will have lights.
Yep, yep, and
Oh,
then not to mention all of the different nav lights, formation lights.
oh, yes.
Like the amount of lights that we're going to be throwing into this bad boy is going to be insane.
That's why I like
So
how you resisted that red crystal light there to be dim. I think that's
yep.
some of these may need to be have that done.
Yeah, and you know what's funny with that is I went through and like it was I scaled up. So I have like, the standard quarter watt, and then kind of worked my way up to, the 5K. And so anything past the 5K on the resistor, it wouldn't activate the LED, or if it did, it would be flickery and didn't look very good. And so, yeah, up that 5K. But then when you put it up, it's perfectly like that light is not too much. It's not casting a light up, which was the one thing that I was most worried about. So, yeah, there's going to be so much, and I think there's going to be a lot of like that's going to be something that's going to be good for you in the learning for doing all of this, like all the electronics is going to be messing with the resistors and trying to get your light temperatures correctly. That's something that I'm thinking almost exclusively about right now as I'm building this model. Like, how bright do I want my photon torpedo launchers to be? Like, do I want
Yes.
it to be like a 3 volt to start and then flash up to a 5 and then fade all the way out? I don't know. So yeah, that's the interesting thing. So yeah, that's the beauty of this model. That's gonna be the fun for this one, I think.
Yes, for sure. All right.
All
Well,
right, man.
anything else?
I think that's what I got. We should definitely reach out to Cass, see if he's willing to accept us throwing him that he's a sponsor of this build. And once again, to Cass and Will, thank you guys so much for the work that you've done and helping us get this build going. We really appreciate you guys. So,
Yes.
otherwise, good luck to you, sir, for your build this week.
Well, thank you, and same to you.
All right, guys.
Okay, so carrying off from last episode, we're gonna continue working on our photon torpedo pod here. Now, if you recall, I couldn't quite get this part to sit down well in just this one area. It was good on this side, but not over here. And what I discovered is I don't really need to cut down anymore. What I've got is a big blob of glue here. So I'm gonna have to get rid of that to hopefully get this to sit in there a little bit better. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some uncure, and I gotta be careful with it because it will damage the wires and everything else if I'm not careful. So I'm gonna do some experimenting here. I'll take some of my uncure, put it on a Q-tip, and try to dissolve just a little bit of glue, just enough on top that I can pull the wires out like that. There we go. Now I can clean up the rest of that. And as I'd said in the previous episode, you can tell that uncure also doesn't pair well with paint. You can see it's also working like a paint remover at the same time. Okay. So we still have some here. We'll get a little bit more. It's also not that friendly with plastic either, so you really got to be careful on how much you use. So there we go. So I'm going to let that dry for a little bit, and I'll come back in and I'll sand off this little high spot here with the glue, and then hopefully we can clean this off a little bit better for these wires. Let's try that. There we go. Now, I don't know if I need to go deeper or not, because everywhere else it was good. Just right here it wasn't. Yeah, okay. So let's keep working at it. Chunk on the side here. See if I can take that off. Yeah. Without cutting into my wire. Yeah. Okay. So we'll let that, I think, dry in for a little bit. We'll see. If I have to, I can. Well, you know what? I'm going to try it right now. Get my router out. I'll try and see if I need to come down any further. Right. Now, one thing of note, if you do look at the film, you will notice that on top here, where the registration is actually Raytheon affected as well, or lit. I'm not too sure if I'm going to have the space to put a little light in the side here to go ahead and light it up. So that may have to go without light, but I can always try to put something in here. We'll see. Okay, so there's that. Let us try, I think, just a little bit more right here. All right, there we go. That's a bit better. See how that fits. This one. Okay, so that appears to be a bit better. We could router a little bit more off the top. In fact, I think I will, just to make things a little bit more comfortable for it in here. Okay, let's see how that works. Now, mind you, I don't have this glued in spot yet. I just want to make sure it is gonna be able to close properly, because I don't feel like having to rewire this, because I'm gonna have to do some rewiring anyway. There we go. So that appears to be able to close if you apply pressure. And this side, oh, I'm not even lined up properly. This side here, yeah, that still closes just fine. And this side here, I think we're good too. Yeah, definitely good here. So there we have it. That side's done. I'll try and put a smaller amount of glue in there so we don't get a big lump on top again. I think they're kind of glued together already. I'm just going to put a little bit down along the sides of it. That'll hopefully take care of it. And I'll use some of my kicker. There we go. There, perfect. Yep. So I am happy with that. Now comes the big change. So on the previous live stream we were doing for the HTM group, if you haven't seen them before, feel free to go over there and join us. We're on Friday nights and Sunday afternoons. So that's HTM. And Donnie, one of our lighting gurus, let me know that using an Arduino, the signal to the lights actually comes up the negative, not the positive. So technically, I could have one common positive and do all negatives. But I've already got it wired up and I've got the wires run. So, in case people's minds change again, I'm going to wire it up and run all 4 negatives down this side. And then I'll also run the lights for the top here down on this side as well, as when we get our clear parts from Cass, I'll pop these out and put those in, and I'll have to put a little bit of light down there for that as well. So I'm going to go down here and widen this out so I can run a lot more wires down here. So I'm going to need the 4 for the negatives, the 2 for the top, and the 2 for the lights down around these vents. So Jordan and I were talking. We're not, certain views you can see the light, and I know I've spoken about this before. You can see a light that's underneath here that lights up. It looks like it's kind of somewhere around here, not these 2 points here. So it's hard to say. But when you look at the full bottom of this, Will had some great pictures. That's Will at the Ensign's Chair. So if you haven't gone to his channel before, I highly recommend it. He's got tons of awesome videos on science fiction builds, a lot of Star Trek, and a few other things like Flash Gordon, that sort of stuff. But yeah, when he showed the picture of the entire, I guess it might have been the larger scale for when it gets blown up, but there's no light showing on the bottom. In fact, these little lumps I don't think were even there. But I would assume that's supposed to be the lights, but I think they should have been either up here or back here, but I'm not sure. I don't know, and I know Will's not putting anything in because there's just too much uncertainty of which way it should be. So, and I think I'll stick with that. I think there's enough lights running into here as is. It would be nice to have those red lights somewhere on here, but yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, at least for now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to disconnect this wire here and rerun, resolder all these to have new negatives, run them off there, run a couple lights for these two vents. I don't know if it's going to be 2 lights or 1 light and, no, you know what? I think I'm going to have to go 2 lights. So, but I can chain them together and just have 2 wires coming out, so that's not a big deal. So let's get started on this. Let's just take this and so again, I'm going to have to label these with what they are. So be it torpedo 1, 2, 3, or 4. But at least I can reuse this wire. So we'll do that. And we'll find our wires. Okay, so my first negative here. There's 1. Here's 2. And there's 3 and 4. Okay, perfect. All right, so I'll get my soldering stuff set up here, and I'll be right back. so I've got my photon torpedo lines all done up. I've got them shrink tubed, and I do have them all labeled as well. So the next thing I want to do is I want to get my lights together for these vents on the bottom. So to get some blue lights in there, I'm going to use a couple 5mm SMDs, or LEDs, sorry. And let's see what we got. See if I have to go smaller or not. Okay, so that'll go right over top. I think those will be good. Yeah, okay. So I'll take 2 of these out and solder them up and get them ready to be installed once I get the clear parts in. So, get my Omni Fixo out. Thanks again, Howard. Again, I'm going to make these shorter, just because there's a limited space in there. So, like that. Do my positive. Let's get a couple short ones together to tie into each other. So something like that. Okay. Okay, so we have our blue lights in here now that can go on these vents. They got lots of space to move around, and they'll be able to fit under there nicely. So, well, I'll let these burn in now for 24 hours. In the meantime, I'm going to have to router out this trench here. So I'm going to get to that, and we'll take a look. Alright, so I have my trenches in, and I've come along as well as sanding. I've gone and run a bit of to me extra thin in here just to kind of melt any extra plastic that's kicking around, and that actually kind of gives me a better idea of what I've got with the shininess now. It's no longer wet right now, it's just shiny because it's melted plastic. So looking good. I'm going to have to start seeing now if I can fit enough wires in there. So there's going to be 4 for the torpedoes. There's going to be 2 for the flashing light on top and 2 for the blue lights. So we will see what we have. Okay, let's see what our 4 negatives do for us. So I made them extra long because I don't know where I'm going to be cutting them off. So I'd rather have extra, and then you know, if need be, I can run them right down to the base if they're long enough. If not, they'll just go into the main body, and then from there they'll be what's this? Oh, okay. And then from there, from the body, they can be rejoined with other pieces of wire to be sent down. So, let's see, 1, 2. Oh yeah, I can see already I'm going to have a lot of room. So there's 3 wires, 4 wires. So that's 4 wires in there. And yeah, it looks like I have more space. And some areas I was able to make it go a little bit deeper. So that should help us. Yeah, so I think we're good. There's my 4 wires, and then we got room for probably at least another 4 in there, which is exactly what I need. All right. So I'm not going to start gluing these down yet until I have the other lights burnt in and ready to be mounted, and then until the top wires here are ready to be mounted as well. So for now, I'm going to stop here, and I think we'll move on to working on our lower arms here. So what I gotta do now is figure out where I'm gonna run my wires and where I'm gonna go with my Raytheon and how I'm gonna do my Raytheon. So I'll clean up this mess here, and we'll get going. All right, so here's our pylons, I guess. I'm just trying to figure out, so around here is where the hull is, and that's where our lights are coming in and out. So they're going to come in here. You need to run some up into the superphasior area, and that's where all these lights or these wires are going to be coming down. So the next thing I need to look at is where my Raytheon effect is going to be for my pennants, and it's about here. So I'm going to need to clear that up. I'm going to need to come through this area here to run my wires down to my nacelles. And then down here I could probably cut out a larger area here for the wires if I need to, because that's all going to be contained inside the nacelle itself. So we will have to see what we have for our Raytheon sheet to see what we have on there. But more importantly right now, because I'm working more on the electronics, I need to, I think, router out a little bit coming down into here. Now you can see there's a deep pin mark here, so I can see that I'm going to be able to come through fairly good for my depth. And then I'll cut out an area in here. I'll just remove a big chunk, kind of say here to here, and just get rid of this area in here to allow the wires to pass through down here. Now for the wires, I want to avoid messing up my Raytheon effect. So I may have to look at running the wires down over kind of this way to keep my Raytheon as clean as possible. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of wires coming up this way. So for now, I'll just get to work on routering this out and clearing out this wall here. All right, so I'll get to that and I'll be right back. All right, so there we have it. There's our parts all done up, ready for wires to go through, I hope. The gap is decent in there now, and I should be able to run my wires through there. And we have it here on this one as well. And you can see just like that. And then I opened up here for the wires to go into the nacelles. I don't know what the number is for the total number of wires coming in and out. I'll have to get that from Jordan more than likely. But that's that. So the next thing I'm going to try and do is work on my bridge. I want to try and get that light in there. So what I'm going to do is I'll get this all cleaned up here, and then we'll come back and look at running or drilling down a hole to get our light up here. All right, so here's our bridge module. You can see here we have our light back here that we want to remove and actually add a light, not this this piece of resin here. So what I'm going to have to do, so I'm going to have to sand that off so it's flat with the ring. So I'm just coming in here and I'm gently sanding. Going slow. There we go. So there you go. You can see I've kind of got that light done. Now what I need to do is find out what size drill bit I need. So let's start with a 1/2 mil, and we'll just go from there. We'll see if that's good. If it's not, we'll we can go larger or smaller. Okay. We could actually go a little bit bigger. Let's go to 6.6 millimeters. Yeah, that's much better. But I think we might be able to go just a touch bigger. Let's try 6.5. You know, I'll go with 6.5 for now. If need be, I can come in with a 7 afterwards, and it'll be no problem to run it down through there. So let's get this bit put in. All right, so here we have our 6.5 mil drill bit, and we're just going to come in here and drill in. I better put my magnifiers on. So now I'm going to look at this really close and just check. No. Let us try and put a little mark in here. Okay. So you can see here I have a little mark in there now, and that's what I'm going to be going for. There we go. Now I didn't go down very straight, but that's okay. Actually, this resin's fairly soft, it feels like. Didn't take much effort to actually drill right through it. So, there we go. And I'll have my hole in here. Let's see if we can run a wire through there. Yes, we can. So there we go. Just like that. So there's our hole drilled in there. No real issue. So the only issue right now that I can think of would be whether or not we need to make this hole bigger. And when I look it up really close under my magnifiers that I'm wearing, it looks like we'll probably need to go up a little bit. Because again, we're going to be using the same kind of 04, was it 0402, I believe? 0204, something like that. No, we're going to use one of these little mini SMDs or to get in here to be our flasher. That way it's up here out of the way. If need be, I can bore out a little bit more down below it and light block, but hopefully I shouldn't need to. So that's it for there. And I think I've accomplished all I'm going to be able to accomplish for today. So I'd like to say thank you for watching. Don't forget to go watch Jordan's episode and see what he managed to do this week. And if you haven't gone over to Will at the Instant Share, I highly suggest that you do. He's got a ton of videos and they're all worth watching. And also I'd like to thank Lake Monster Detail, Cass over there, for providing these parts. So yeah, like this is one of Cass's parts right here. So, and he has modified it to be more accurate. So, thank you again for watching. You guys take care, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.